everyone. This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Vanita Lambert, and I have my very good friend Miriam Stevenson. She's a street activist, and we're gonna be finishing off part 2 of where we started off from our last show. But before we get into all that, I always like to make just a quick little note about COVID. We have a new strain out now. It's called Omicron, and it's in 35 states so far. So, just be really careful out there. Wear your mask, get your booster shots, protect your kids, do whatever it is that you need to do to stay safe, because I'm sick of wearing a mask. I want to celebrate Christmas. And by the way, this is our Christmas edition, because this is our last show that we're going to be doing before the new year. Right, Miriam?
That's right.
How are you today? Thank you so much for coming on again.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm so glad that you have me.
You look so beautiful. I love your hair.
You Miss Santa lady.
I love the gold. We are in the Christmas spirit, y'all. Okay. I am 100% kid, K-I-D. When it comes to Christmas time, it's my favorite holiday, and I have a new granddaughter, so I'm all excited. I'm Christmas shopping, which I never had to do. Not never had to do. I haven't done in a long time because my kids are adults. They're 25 and 29. So, I bought a toy, and in West Haven, we had Santa Claus deliver her a toy by the West Haven Fire Department.
Oh.
They did it last weekend, but she won't know it's not Christmas. She's only 4 months. So, Miriam, thank you so much again for coming back on. And to finish up part 2, do you have any Christmas stories you want to tell or anything you want to share before you get into that?
Yes, I have one daughter. She was born on Christmas Day, 1 p.m.
Oh, happy birthday coming up in 2 weeks.
Anastasia, yes.
Now, that's what I call a real Christmas gift. That's like a Christmas miracle.
And I always said I didn't want a child born in December, because my birthday's in December. You get cheated out of a gift, or a celebration, especially in elementary school, because it was always time for the Christmas break, never your turn. And then my daughter was like a month early and born on Christmas Day.
Oh, so just get her twice as many presents. That's what I would say.
I would have to make a birthday cake and a Christmas cake.
Do half and half and put it together.
Oh,
I've seen that done.
I never thought of that.
Do one cake and do one side birthday and one side Merry Christmas.
Because my girlfriend at that time was Latin, Ruthie, and we would just buy her 2 cakes. But grown-ups, everybody else ate the cakes. But
oh yeah,
and she didn't really understand, but it was just a thought. 2 events in one day,
I get it. I planned both my kids, okay? I had one in April and one in May because I could not stand to be pregnant through the summer because you're hot. And, so they're spring babies.
Oh, don't forget, I'm 71, old school, so we didn't have that luxury of planning.
Well, I mean, yeah, you did. I did old school planning. I just, did what I had to do when I had to do it. And that's all there is to it, and the rest is history. So that's how I planned.
Okay, that came out good.
Okay, that's TMI.
I know, let's move on.
So where did we leave off last time? I love this woman,
okay,
first of all.
I want to reiterate a little bit.
Okay.
I forgot to mention that Felipe Luciano now has a radio show in New York. He was one of the original Last Poets with Guy Lane Kane and Abio June. And I think it's WBAI that he's on. I'm not trying to...
Right, we get it. So he has a radio show. What is this radio show about?
About music and the Latin roots.
Okay.
Because the Last Poets was about the Puerto Rican culture.
Okay.
And it was also about community services, which he has, and the breakfast and lunch programs, which he created. So it's about the whole El Barrio community, which he still lives in, which is great.
Exactly.
So,
and there's nothing more important than community service, even, back then and still now, You have to get involved in your community.
But back in the day, in the 60s, there was no community projects. There was no, except for Harlem Hospital.
The Black Panthers. The Black Panthers.
But the Black Panthers were on 125th Street, and after they were all killed, that's when the Young Lords came in.
But they provided community service. They
tried breakfast. They were the initiatives, because I was with them, because I was, about 14 and 13 when I started following them. But they were taken out so fast and so young, so violently, as opposed to any other group, that they never really were able to get their mainstream focus like the Young Lords Party.
Right.
Or the other parties that were the People for a Democratic Society.
Right, but they started, community service and other groups that were
But they were more organized in California. I think that they really built up I really wanted to go to California at the age of 13. And my mother was like, what? I said, I want to be with Huey P. Newton,
Well, California's always been ahead of us. The West Coast has always been, 5 years ahead of the East Coast. I remember when I went to one of my company conventions out there, and I was still smoking cigarettes. I didn't quit until 2000. And we were at a nightclub. And I went to go light up a cigarette, and by that time, we were still smoking in clubs and everything here on the East Coast. But in California, I thought the girl was going to jump across the bar and grab me and put the cigarette out, because I lit up a cigarette at the bar, and that was just, they had already like years ahead of us stopped doing things like that. You couldn't smoke inside the establishment of a bar or restaurant or anything like that. And then, a few years later, the East Coast kind of caught up. So they've always been ahead, always.
But I think they were more progressive on the West Coast. They were never able to get their program situated on the East Coast like the West Coast, because they were, taken out. But moving on, we have other groups now, like Black Lives Matters, and they aren't going anywhere, because as a Black nation, Puerto Rican nation, and all the cultures, we are more collectively together than previously back in the 1960s, where we were divided. So I want to move on to the mob, the Italians. That's one of the biggest YouTube influencers on the Italian mob. It seems like everybody wants to know more about them, and some people are just making things up about them, but I was there.
And that's why we want to hear your story. I mean, I watched The Godfather, so you were there, so tell us some things that happened.
Okay, I want to present a question out to you in the public. If someone could email me, why did the Bachelor's 3 in New York City close so suddenly? I keep Googling it, and it keeps coming up with Joe Namath's name. Joe Namath had to give up his partnership to return to the New York Jets. He was no longer involved with the Bachelor's 3 when it was closed. So I'm just finding the answers that I'm getting on the internet very interesting, because it's nowhere near the truth. But does someone out there know, or someone could email me so I could continue researching my book? I have half the answer. I want to know the other half. It's been 50 years, so there's no big secret. Okay. I have a couple of questions that I'm going to throw out to you, and which I'm going to answer in my book and try to answer before our time is up here. So I'm going to try to do it very rapidly. Did the Italians ever try to save a black female's life? Did the Italians ever give up anything to save a black life? Was a black female ever sold? Did the Italians ever have a black female get the job of her dreams or finish college? Or did a black female ever go on a shenanigan with them? The answer is yes. It's me.
I love it.
I'm going to try to start at the beginning, but we don't have enough time to get to the middle or the end.
So kind of just summarize it for us. Give us just an interesting, if you can.
That would be a massive summary, but but while I'm talking, I'll try to tick away at how I can do that. It all started by going into the bachelor's degree. It started by being introduced to Ray Abruzzi, who was one of the owners then.
Okay.
It moved along to a friendship, but then I was young, 16, 17. Into which I had no knowledge of Italian-American history, culture, because I never really socialized with Caucasians, so this was like a whole new environment to me. And it was the black male who I was going out with who took me there to make the introduction. So it was one of those tragic giveaways. But me being so naive, because like there's two different cultures on the street, I only knew of the street life where I had to protect the people. I didn't know about the other street life of prostitution, drugs.
Yeah, that was their business. That's that's the only part I think that most people know about the Italian mob, is that all of the the negative things, just like the swear words. We know about the prostitution numbers and things like that. So we don't know about the things that you were asking about earlier, all the good things that they did, not just for Italians, but for African Americans and everybody else as well. And as far as I'm concerned, Italians are just like anybody else. They, and so is every culture. You have your good, your bad, and your ugly in every single culture. And there are some really, really good Italian people that did good things for blacks, and and so on and so forth, and vice versa. So I see that in every single culture. And it's a shame that most people make the Italians out to be something negative. I think that they're very, very intelligent. They're all very, very educated. And in my field of life insurance, one of the things that I know they invested in was whole life insurance and universal life insurance, because they were able to, once you invest in those two contracts, you get to take out tax-free cash value. If you leave it to your beneficiary, they get the entire death benefit 100% tax-free, or they could take out out of the cash bucket, they can take out what they put in 100% tax free. And so they dumped so much money into those two contracts so that all of their whatever it is that they did, and I don't have any proof that they did all these things, it's just what I heard, right, that they did all these things, and maybe the money was dirty. They put it into these legitimate contracts, and it came out on the other side clean, also known as washing money. But once you get the money on the other side, then your beneficiaries, your children, can go to, like, say, Vegas and purchase casinos legitimately. So they turned an illegitimate business into a legitimate business through a legitimate process because they are so smart. And so a lot of people tend to not know about that part of it. Or, they think they just, took all this bad money and went and bought, legitimate businesses. You just can't do that, or it would not be a legitimate business. So that's one thing I commend them about. I'm a life insurance agent. I love that. And I try to get everyone, especially millennials, to take advantage of that process, to take advantage of contracts like that. Because even if you're not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you can generate your own legacy through a simple contract, just like they did, or leave it for the next generation. So I commend the mob, and not everything that they did, but a lot of things that they did. And just like a lot of African American people, we as African Americans started out as slaves, and I'm not trying to go back that far, but my point is we started out with nothing, and so we had to adjust to the street life in order to get something or to get ahead. And they kind of did the same thing. They came over on a boat, we came over on a boat, and they did some really intelligent things, profitable things. And I don't think that a lot of the black community did, at least that I know of, or at least that they talk about a lot. So that's one thing I commend them for, and that we don't know about. We don't know about all the people that they helped. I'm sure they helped plenty of other people.
Oh,
And I'm sure you're not the only black female they helped. I'm sure you got to have at least one other person that you could tell us about.
But there was, even being with Ray, I could never have none of my friends around me.
Who's Ray?
Well, Ray was the owner of the Bachelor's 3, the one who I was...
Italian.
Yeah, Italian.
And you couldn't bring any of your black friends around?
Right.
Or male friends? What kind of friends?
Well, girlfriends.
Because why?
He just didn't want them around. They're very funny about their culture. And maybe because of the way the family is.
But that doesn't make sense. They had you around. They had you around. That doesn't make sense.
I know, but that's what my mother said.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
I just felt special.
Oh, okay. You are special.
Ever since I was a young girl, I always felt this Cleopatra thing. So even back in the day, I would wear my hair straight with a ton of Cleopatra makeup on. Because that was the thing anyway, because of the groups that we had, like John Lennon and all that. Then we were starting to get really into the black culture of music. So the black makeup was the thing, with Cher.
I was just going to say Cher. I remember she used to do that.
So that was my thing, and it was the cheapest makeup anyway, 50 cents at Woolworths. So I cannot answer questions about why he and other Italians, like Joe Colombo, he helped me, or Vincent Chin, or Philip Coletti, or Salvador Testa, why people were attracted, See, you can't choose the Italians or the mob. They choose you. That's what I try to explain to everybody.
Well, you're very beautiful, very attractive.
But there were
did they
girls
choose you
out
for your
there
talents?
who were gorgeous. I mean, magnificent, you know. I would just say I was average. But it was me, you know.
That was allowed in the club. And what did you do? Did you work for them? What did you do?
I was getting ready to graduate, and I was still working part-time at the telephone company. So I was just there being a young girl, you know, because don't forget, they were hitting their 30s, you know. They were 29, hitting their 30s, so I was still ding, ding. But, so I did nothing.
Just hang out at their clubs.
But as things progressed, life always gets a little difficult, so things happen. And then when I had to stop coming to the club and go to the penthouse, we couldn't meet in the club anymore because the FBI, I went to Bloomingdale's to buy something for my job, and all of a sudden I come out the door and I'm surrounded by 5 FBI agents.
But why? What were you doing to...
So they said, we have a question to ask you. So, you know, I'm stunned because in New York, you don't see an FBI agent. You only start by the NYPD. They're the courts, the jury, and the executioner. No one, my brother did 3 bids, and he never met a Secret Service federal man. So it was, even in the Young Lords or the Panthers, you aren't taught what to do with a Fed because they didn't exist in our communities. Everything was done by the NYPD.
Okay.
Everything.
So what was your role? I'm missing something here. I'm missing a piece here. You said when things progressed from the club to the penthouse.
Well,
am I missing something, or that's just a part of the story that you're going to skip over? Or
that's what I'm going to skip over.
Okay, because I thought it was me. Okay, you can't say it on TV. This is reality TV. You can say anything.
No, but I really can't.
Okay, because that kind of confused me. I was like, what's going on? Okay, so a piece of the puzzle is missing. This is a mystery. It's a mystery.
And their question was very profound. Like, they said, they were talking about white. See, I'd never even been up to their apartment. There was nothing sexual for like 5 months going on between us. It was only, I met them in the club, and I would come to the club, eat, drink, and hang out. Okay. So I didn't know what they were talking about. So they were talking about these girls up at the penthouse. So the only thing I could think of doing was run. So everybody, all those business people were saying, leave that little girl alone, because I was 16 and I looked 5 years younger, so then I looked like I was 13. So I started running, and I had on my 6-inch heels. I ran all the way back to the club, which was about 5 blocks away. Mm-hmm. And I run in the club, but they never crossed the street
to go into the club
to say anything. And they were like, what's happened? What's going on? So I told them, they chased me. Mm-hmm. And they said, the number 1 rule, never run. See what they have to say and give us a call. Okay. Never do what you just did.
So the FBI never crossed the street, never went into this club. Oh my goodness. Why did you have to skip that piece of the puzzle that's missing?
Because
it seems like that's good.
It is.
Tell me after this show is over, because I want to know. So, okay, go ahead.
So, because of the incident, the puzzle, it led to other circumstances in which we had to clean up. And just moving rapidly with the story, he had to give up a piece of his part in the bar because a cleaner was sent over from Italy.
He had to give up a piece of his part of the bar. Are we still talking about Joe Namath?
No. Oh. Joe Namath had nothing to do with it. Joe Namath had already given. This was Ray Abusey and the other two partners.
Oh, okay.
That's what, Google's confusing everybody with. Joe Namath had already given up his share to get back with the New York Jets. Then, when the cleaner came, he had to clean up something. And then he said, all this should have never occurred, not because I'm so much black, because what was a little girl, he still called me a little girl.
Being chased by the FBI.
And then still sitting in the club, eating and drinking.
And the FBI never pursued you across the street. I mean, they just stopped chasing you all of a sudden when you ran into the bar, right?
But that's not the first time. It would be like 40 years later when I went to Waterbury to talk to one of the white leaders of a motorcycle gang. I went to talk to him about a bartending job. And we went to an Italian restaurant. And we ordered the food. Then he got a beeper thing. And he said, we got to leave. And we go outside, and all of a sudden I'm surrounded by 10 FBI cars.
You must have done something.
No. The interesting thing about this is that they talked to him. None of them ever talked to me.
Because you were 16.
No, but this I'm talking about later on in life.
Oh, okay,
when I was
years later, okay.
Okay, I was 27, 29.
Okay.
So maybe in their code they have a thing, don't talk about if a black woman's with a white man and he's a gangster, motorcycle activist or killer, whatever you want to call him.
Right. They how would they even know that? There's so much interracial marriages. I love it.
The FBI, they could trigger in and they know everything. Let me tell you.
That's true. So listen, I get it, and we have about 1 minute left, and we never even got to the end of your story.
I know, we never even got to the middle.
So that's okay, because there's plenty more shows.
Okay.
You're welcome to come back.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to be able to maybe not skip so many pieces of the puzzle so that we could get a clear understanding of it.
Right,
because it sounds really interesting. But since we have like about 30 seconds left, I want to take this opportunity and thank everybody at Soundview TV for allowing the David Goodman Show to go on so that we could bring all these stories and all these guests on. And I want to especially thank Francisco, our technician, for always being here for us. And I want to wish everybody a happy and safe holiday season.
I have the same wishes too. And I want to thank the organization because they hired me at my old age and found me interesting. I have a part-time job here. So God blesses you in certain ways.
Thank you.
And I take this, and it is all because I was on her show. So blessings come, and I always believed in that.
Thank you so much for joining the David Goodman Show. We're on your side all the time. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.